Well, hello, everyone. It's been a while. It's the end of the year, and everybody's doing everything that they have to do, myself included. But the topic today is love is blind, or is it? The concept behind love is blind to me is kind of like arranged marriages, and only the parents don't get to choose. You get to choose based on the things they say, how you're feeling, without having to see them, because society has put so much on pressure on people to be a certain way, to look a certain way, to um, talk a certain way, all kind of different variants that really shouldn't matter if that person is, if you feel in that person and they got what you need internally, because character, integrity, all those things matter. Now, we all do have to be attracted to the person. That's just a given. I just, certain people, you end up, I've dated people that I thought I would never date, uh, married who I thought I wouldn't marry. However, see how that worked out for me. I'm divorced. But I didn't get a chance to talk to them or get to know their heart without seeing them, because I think actually it could have worked. At least one could have worked. But this Love Is Blind is I watched the first season and I thought it was pretty awesome. And I don't know if that couple, the one that the black girl with the white guy, that they were. I know after a couple of years they were still together, so I don't know if they are. But I thought it was ideal to for them to end up together. And I have my specifics, but I am going to talk about a few of them, so I had to write this stuff down. Now, I don't know if you guys watch the show or not, but um, it's kind of one of those things that I could see right away. Um, and that wasn't even, it didn't have to do with the person not seeing the individual. Um, let's back up. We saw, well, we're going to talk about the end towards and then we'll back up. I'm sorry. Now, in the end, Leo was a character. He said that women like him, because they know he got money, whatever stuff. Nobody knew that. He told them that his family died, left him inheritance. He was an art dealer. He told them all kinds of stuff that would make a person want to like you. So there's some things that popped in my mind just hearing that, because after you done told somebody that people like you for your money, then that should have been a done deal. You should have shut up and not said a doggone thing. But Leo has some insecurities and things that he's not confident in who he is as a man. He's confident in what he has. And women are going to treat you as such because you brag about it. And so he ended up with Brittany, but Brittany should have told him no. Brittany wanted to be a trophy wife, so she figured he had the wherewithal to do it. She said that's all she's ever dated or whatever, but she's not with any of those guys. So there too lies the problem with her. You can't try to be somebody's trophy wife. You gotta bring something to the table. So those two, when they end up getting together, and she found out, from Hannah that Hannah had already chosen somebody else, so she knew he didn't really have an option. Then he go back and try to lie and say that they mutually, him and Hannah mutually broke up. No, they didn't. You found out that Hannah didn't want you. Um, Hannah was a mess all by herself too. So we still gonna stick to Leo and Brittany. And those two, eventually, I found out on the show, they said that they took their own. They didn't let them go um, to I don't know if it was Mexico or wherever, but they ended up taking their own little trip to Miami and eventually broke it off because it wasn't anything real. He didn't want Brittany. Brittany, he talked about different things that he did not like, and so she had all that stuff. Her lips was blown up. He said some things that made me think that that was not something he wanted. He wanted somebody natural. So Leo and Brittany, I knew that was a disaster waiting to happen. Okay, and let's go to Hannah. Oh my God, Hannah. She is so insecure. She got a lot of things going for herself because women, we know how to pick up the pieces and keep it moving, pay our bills, do certain things that make us look like we got it going on. However, she kept talking about her weight. She kept talking about different aspects of being a female, which, if you're confident in who you are, then all those things, you don't bring those up to guys. You just put yourself together and keep it moving. But the way for her to overcome that is to be kind of bossy. She felt good because two guys wanted her. And then when Leo started yelling at her and all that because she had already told him she picked somebody else, that he done lost his rabbit behind mine, because first of all, you wouldn't have been hollering at me. I wouldn't have given you a second date. So that was Hannah's mistake. So I don't even know why she was crying. She already said she wanted to be with Nick. And so Nick didn't stand a chance. Nick, I think, was a really good guy. You got to take a look at the parents and how they operate. And when the dad said that that's how the mom did him, she would have been ideal for him if she would have been able to tone it down. But she didn't let that man feel like he could do anything right. Women, you can't do that. You got to let this. He asked her how much water to put in. She's like, you don't know. That man lived with his parents. So he's a bachelor. There's some things he might not know how to do. So depending on the age that you're dating, there are things you have to consider. All she had to do was tell him, just fill it halfway or whatever. But she was so just condescending. She wasn't encouraging. Men want somebody to support them. And if they don't know how to do anything, they want you to, you can show them and you can tell them, but you don't have to make them feel bad about not knowing how to do it. So, and then she was good all along. She knew those things and she was glad to help him. And she was saying, want to teach you. And she would brag about all this stuff, which she shouldn't have been, but she did. And then when she got her girlfriend's input that last go round, that's when it was over. We're not the same. We're not the same. That boy, I'm sure I could tell by the way he got it going on. He's just not been exposed to that kind of stuff because of his lifestyle. It's like if your parents tell you don't have to go anywhere and you can stay there, then why would he go out and do that? You know what I'm saying? He has a great relationship with his parents. They love him. They actually adore him. So he's going to treat a woman right when he gets the right woman. There are a lot of things he doesn't know, which, like he was saying, his parents still pay his cell phone bill. And I mean, at 20, I think he's 27. At 27, that's okay if you working and doing whatever and your parents allow you. But hopefully he's saving his money, doing whatever. I don't know. But he just seemed like a genuinely good guy. But he was going to get, now if they had gotten married or gotten together, he would have gotten tired of her stuff if she didn't change. And her own parents were telling her that she needed to chill out and relax. But she let her friends talk her out of that. Ladies, don't let your friends tell you stuff about a guy. Unless it's something where he beating on you or he got anger issues that they can see. Don't let them talk you out of something if you think it's a good thing. That's a side note for you to consider. So that kind of thing, yeah, Hannah, you just bossy because you're trying to cover up for your insecurities, with feeling bad about your weight. You're a beautiful young lady, but you just insecure about your size. Don't project that on anybody else. Let the guys say they like you and move on and keep doing what you do, because you had all your other stuff together. You just need freak and everything. And so you talking about everything that he does, but y'all just getting together. If this is the way the man been living, let him live that way and you handle what you handle and y'all decide together how y'all gonna handle it. But don't just order him around. You're not his mother. Okay. So now we're gonna move on to I'm going to move on to Alex and Tim. Okay. Alex and Tim, that nigga act like he was a doggone female. He was so doggone, he act like a girl. He wouldn't let the girl talk. Now when she met his parents and went to sleep, that was rude. That part was rude. But he don't know how to communicate the things that he wants. They just get together. You got to realize there's a book by Tim Keller talking about marriage. And it was saying that things that you have to consider, where a person come from, that's normal, so that it might not be offensive to them. So when you're getting together with somebody, consider both sides and also talk about it so that person is aware so they don't offend you. I don't think Alex was trying to offend him. She just was doing what she was normally doing. Now, even if that was my normal routine to take a nap, I wouldn't have done it with his parents flying in, like he said, from a distance. But the whole time he was acting like a darn female. He was so sensitive. It's gonna be hard for him to find somebody that's gonna be able to, because it's gonna be like whatever you like. That's what that kind of woman he needs. Somebody that's subservient, and and women, we're we're to serve each other in a relationship. However, you don't make nobody feel like you're a doormat and let them just walk all on you. And I can tell Alex was, she was her own person doing her own thing. And she was trying to get to know him, but he was so closed off without, talking about communication is important, but he wasn't able to communicate. He's not a great communicator. And so pay attention to those things. And those are the questions you ask up front. And I know this is ideally not what's normal in the dating process, but if you're in a relationship, get to know what they like, what they don't like, what they want, what they would require you to do in the process of dating, so that you don't walk on each other's toes. That just was like, Alex was like, well, what can I do? And then when he's like, there's no coming back, I'm done, he wanted to get out in the beginning. I personally think that he think that in a relationship that you got to kiss his butt to make him happy. But typically a good guy like Tyler, oh my God, Tyler is such the ideal man. He made one mistake, but we'll talk about that later. Let's finish up with Alex and Tim. But I mean, Alex and Tyler, we will, I mean, not Alex, Ashley and Tyler, we'll talk about them later, but Alex and Tim, initially I thought it was a good thing, but when he started getting so sensitive about everything she say, everything she do, oh my God, it was ridiculous. I was like, dude, you just acting like a big old wuss. Just sit your tail down and man up. God, dog. So that part was just, it was a mess for me. Okay. But then Stephen and Monica act like this man was supposed to have money and just cater to her and buy all this stuff. She naming all this stuff, these different bags. And you said you're going to buy some roses. And she's just so preppy. And so, oh my God, girl, ain't nobody going to be able to please you. And y'all women out here, all y'all was giving up the cat right away. I mean, that's another body count. I'm sorry. Excuse me, y'all. That's another body count. You just met him. And if from a Christian point of view, I wouldn't have done it. But I know that none of these people were Christians that I'm aware of. And so they were, getting in there, getting it in, getting busy, doing what they do and stuff. And they having a good time. And I get it. But Monica, how can you require this man to do all this stuff for you? He don't know you like that. It's an investment to get to know them. I saw the first, what's the show? Love at First Sight. And that show, the first couple, she didn't like the way he looked, but they lasted. They had children. She made him get to know her. She didn't sleep with him. And they're together because they have mutual respect for each other. He was raised properly, so he respected her wishes to not have sex. She's like, I want to know you as a friend. So she married him and they made it work. And I thought that was ideal for that to happen. But that was a whole nother show. But on Love is Blind, you don't get to see them. And then you get a chance to choose whether you want to marry them. So with Stephen and Monica, Stephen was just hidden and she was liking the sex and, just going in and acting like, I'm ready for another boner and, saying all this kind of stuff. But you making this man act like, he doing so well, and then turn around and then want to put him down for not doing this, and you want him to, and you'll say in one sentence, it doesn't matter if you do this or that or the other, but then next minute you require him to do something else. And it was ridiculous. I was like, how can this man please you? How can he can't win for losing? You know how that saying goes. And then that last night, she complained so much, he just dipped. He said he went take a sleep test. Yeah, okay, sleep. You slept with somebody else. Because he was texting on his phone, being, all kind of rude or whatever. But he was over it. His face was telling it all. His face was like, nigga, like you getting on my last nerve. He told me he had a little bit of black in him, but he was like, nigga. That's what he was saying to her because she was acting like a straight brat. And she is, she ain't all that to be acting like that. So you getting to know him, he getting to know you. Get a man a break. You acting like he been with you forever. Why he gonna spend all this money on you and do all this stuff for you and he don't even know you? And then you 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 dissed him in so many words. And so, that's just that wasn't cool. So that's another thing that I didn't like. She was very demanding. And so guys are not going to be dealing with that kind of stuff. That they're not going to take it. Ladies, y'all. First of all, you need a man that's masculine because he's going to allow you to walk in your femininity, and so he will treat you like Tyler is treating Ashley. And I love it. I love it. So much respect. If they don't make it, I don't know who will. Because they, to me, they prayed every night. They prayed together, and though they're not calling themselves Christians, they can get to that point where they're bonded in faith to the point where they could totally submit to God for salvation. And I'm hoping that that's the case. But he was a manly man. He adored her, and she's like she's never had that before. And that's how a woman wants to feel. That way she can relax, let her hair down, so to speak, figuratively, and relax her shoulders and just be a woman. And she was supporting him. And even when he, put the bombshell on her, Ashley, had things to consider. But anyway, so I want to finish with Stephen and Monica. That's another body count you done got, Monica, because you know if that man really like you and you just getting it in talking about the boner like it was so magical, but yet he wasn't. So I don't know how you separate that too. But anyway, and I'm gonna go to Marissa and Ramses. I'm disappointed in Marissa. She's such a beautiful girl, got a lot going for herself, but he was all in. And even though he would have been a little weird for me. She was like all for him. She was all for him, and she wanted to get married and stuff, and that's why she was so devastated when it didn't happen. But I'm gonna tell you where I think the change came in. Her mammy at that dinner table when she went to the restroom was saying all this kind of stuff to this man, which really wasn't her business. I mean, I understand you want to look out for your mom, for your daughter, but she turns around and say all this stuff to him, and his face was saying, he ain't open his mouth, but he was saying it with his face, like, I don't know who you think you're talking to. I'm a grown behind man. And because he cursed, he probably said that word. And he said, so how dare you tell me this is your daughter's choice, which is true. So I was just like really, really confused as to why. And that mom was like, she don't believe marriages last forever. She already done projected a divorce between the two of them by saying that. That's so rude. Her mother can't be happy, so she didn't want her daughter to be happy. And how I don't care what I didn't accomplish. I would want my children and my grandchildren and whoever else to go on and be successful at a marriage, a job, whatever it is that I might not have accomplished or might not have been successful in, doesn't mean that anybody else can't. There are some things that I know about myself that caused my divorce. So I had to change those things. And so if I know that I've instilled in my child to do the right thing and to be this person and consider this, consider that, then when their opportunity comes, I'm going to support them and encourage them and pray that it's forever. I'm not going to say, well, I know it's not going to last forever. Maybe you get 15 years or whatever. So she left her mom at the table with him. And I just think that's when everything changed. He was like, I can't do, because he knew that if she was bold enough to say all that kind of stuff, she's going to be in that girl's ear trying to tell her how to run their marriage. And he knew that. So, he basically he said he talked to his friends, and that's when things changed because he had already been married. But he knew that before he said he was ready to get married. It was after the meeting with the mom at dinner and the siblings, but the siblings were happy, they were supportive. But the mom saying all the stuff is what caused things to sever and not go forward. And so though she was devastated, girl, you got another body count. Girl, y'all just need to, you ain't got to be no Christian to know that you can't just be doing all that kind of stuff unless you know for sure. And you don't until you get to the end of the show. So I was shocked, but because I thought they had such a bond. But then I realized after watching it that the mother, I believe, is who caused the rift in the relationship. And he just, to me, didn't fit into her professional world that she was going into, even though she would have made whatever exceptions and that kind of thing. So since I have watched the wedding of Ashley and Tyler, I'm going to talk about them because I've made reference to them throughout, and that's just kind of like the gauge or the um, what's the word? I don't know what word I'm looking for, but to me that was an example for that I thought was perfect because they had issues, but they talked about it. He gave her time. They didn't force anything. They had respect, enough respect for each other to understand their differences as well as what they had in common and how they together would work it out and not interference from everybody else. And so that was the thing that kept them going. He dropped that bombshell on her, and I understand that he was coming from a good place to do what he did. So she had to consider all that stuff because I'm sure she wanted her family together, just him and her, and having children or whatever and stuff. But it's out there now, and she's just like, he treats me well, and then it wasn't a mistake, it was an intentional thing that he did to help somebody else out. So yet that shows you a part of his heart. So I think that's a part of where what caused her to say, okay, yeah, you did this, but you should have told me ahead of time, but you've now told me, so let's consider this and we work and see if we can work our way through this. And she did. So that part was good, and I'm glad to see that they got married. I'm just so glad because I just thought that they were just a great couple. I haven't watched the second wedding, which is Garrett and Taylor. But Garrett and Taylor got some issue. Um, Garrett told you that he didn't really, all he's ever dated was white girls. To me, that was a telltale sign. If you're not a white girl, Taylor, you should know that that wasn't, and it shouldn't be a disqualifier at all. But unfortunately, sometimes it is. If they tell you that they only like this and you go for it, you meet them. Yeah, he was on the show, and a lot of them had to put on their game face when they came out because they didn't like what they saw. But the game face had to show that I did, so I can continue to be on the show. I'm sure that's what they were doing, trying to save face for the show. But I can tell by the expressions and how they look initially. Oh, I don't know if this is gonna work, but then they made it work, and then it ended up not working. So that was kind of one of those things that you can kind of tell. Um, but when he said that, like I said, he was already telling you. I think what if he didn't consider that if she had been a white girl, if he because they had so much in common, him being a physicist, she majored in chemistry, all those things that they had in common, they understood each other in their worlds, that it would have been ideal. But then he started texting people, and then he said he just didn't respond. And then when he get with his buddies, he started talking about what he said. So it puts some distrust in there a little bit, that she was like not sure what he was really doing. A guy gonna do what a guy gonna do, and if you picking up those vibes and you picking up Phil and Taylor, you should have run at that point. I ain't watch it, so I don't know if they married at this point. I don't know if they said yes to each other. I'm just telling you where I am. I've only watched the one Ashley and Tyler, which I thought was so cute. They make a great couple. But Garrett and Taylor, you said you didn't want to marry him if you didn't get the blessings from your father and your from your parents. And I get it. That's a culture thing. You all have to get your blessings. She said she wouldn't do it. However, you didn't even have to worry about getting blessings. You were already picking up stuff, already feeling a certain type of way, and you're willing to move and do things with him to, make it work. But these guys that's been on this show, they know they're gonna get some tail. They know they're gonna get some tail because they getting a lot of publicity. They done been on the show. Some people think they're hot. They gonna DM them, come after them. So if you're not secure that he's secure or he knows who he is and he really loves you, girl, you gonna blow it up. You're gonna blow it up until I believe that's what you're gonna do if y'all end up getting married. Because you can't not think about how social media and the internet and all this kind of stuff, these platforms expose people to a whole different world that they wouldn't have been exposed to. They could have been little uh, runts in high school and middle school or junior high school, however we used to call it, junior high school. But if they were nobodies and then all of a sudden they get up and started becoming somebody, and some of them still don't look like nothing, but they making money and able to uh, brand themselves, so to speak, to become a certain type of way. And like, let's go back to Nick when she said she thought he was big and built because he talked about playing uh, uh, semi-pro ball, football, or whatever, and stuff like that. So she had in her mind an image, and a lot of guys will say those kind of things because that's what they want you to think. They put that in your head, and you go for it thinking that this is what you're going to get. But you got to remember, the show is called Love Is Blind. You can't see them. Because some people just lose it and then they blow up after they play football. And so he could have been, Nick could have been somebody else. I'm back to Hannah when she was listening to what he was saying. Ladies, you got to pay attention what they're saying and what they're not saying. Because those in-betweens, they telling the real deal. So when it comes to Garrett and Taylor, um, I don't think it's going to work. If they say I do at the altar, I would be shocked. Um, but I would think that he would be the one to not say uh, yes. I think she would, but he wouldn't. Just because of all the fussing she was doing about the phone and who he texting and that kind of stuff, those insecurities, they only going to get more intense as time goes by. And you got to remember, in a relationship, they've only had 2 months to get to know each other. But in the first 5 years, that's the time that you really get to know each other. And whatever, whatever, that's the time where things happen that you don't like, you do like, you figure out how you're going to do this, you're going to do that. But if you already have these issues and you ain't even said, I do, whew, I've been married. I've had my insecurities and I've said some things that I shouldn't have said. However, I've learned that grown folks let grown folks be grown folks. And if women, we have this intuition about ourselves, what I call a spirit of discernment, that tell you where a guy is. And so if you pick up on that and not rush into doing things you shouldn't be doing, then it'll tell you how you need to be. Whether you need to just step back and say this is not going to work, because you have to be honest with yourself. It don't matter how attractive he is or how fine he is. We just had that debate about can somebody be fine and not attractive. I believe they can be. Some people say no. When you say fine, it's the total package. Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. But for the sake of relationships with Garrett and Taylor, I don't see it working. And when I get off of this podcast, I'm going to finish watching it to see what happens. But I just, like I said, Leo, Brittany, I knew that wasn't going to work. He didn't want her. When he saw her, it was like, mm-mm. And she was pulling back when he was doing it. She wanted to say no, but she wanted to see if she can take those trips because I can tell her personality, she's superficial. She's about image and being a trophy. She thinks she's a trophy. And that's why she got all that stuff done with her doggone lips. And, a lot of those girls be so pretty without all that extra stuff. And then they get it. You got to continue to do it. And and sometimes you overdo it and it looks ridiculous. You're trying to look like a Barbie, but I'm sure she was a pretty girl without that. And Leo is just he's a insecure man that has to talk about what he has in order to attract a woman. He needs to get therapy and work on where he is and get some help about what caused him to get to that point that he has to depend on those things to make him feel like he's a man. And to scream at a woman, ladies, look out. When he go to screaming and yell at you, you got one daddy, and I'm sure your daddy might have yelled a couple times, or he might not. My dad never yelled at us. But for that reason, if he goes to yelling, that's a telltale sign. It can only get worse from there, especially if this is in the very beginning. Oh, baby, yeah, run with all your heart, mind, and soul. And so that's my take on Love is Blind. I like the concept because it's like I said, it's like arranged marriages. However, with arranged marriages, the parents get to pick because they're neutral. They don't have any love interest. They just know that based on how they're raising their child, that this person comes from the same background and therefore they can work it out and talk to each other and make it happen or make it work. And so that's pretty much the case. So in those pods, you get a chance to talk. And a lot of them, they weren't even asking the right questions. It was to me, and some of them were trying to hint what they look like so that they can see if you were the person or they wanted you to be the person based on their size. Because some of those girls, oh my God, you would think that they were one person and they were end up being somebody else. So, you just really, really have to ask all the pertinent questions that will make you decide if this person has integrity, this person has morals, this person likes certain things that I like. And you don't have to like the same things, you complement each other. And then you can expose each other to different things that you might not have liked, which causes the other person to um, enjoy something that they hadn't enjoyed because they never tried to. And so that's the good part about a relationship. It's not all one sided with what this person want. We're gonna do everything they wanted. That's how Hannah was doing with Nick. She was just ridiculous. And then just treating him like her own parents had to call her on it. So if your parents calling you, he wasn't around when they did it. But I just really think Nick is a good guy. He just wasn't exposed to a lot of stuff because he was still living with his parents. His parents was helping to take care of him, until he gets ready to go on his own. I'm sure the money he was making, he was probably saving and just doing things that he wanted to be doing the things that he wanted to do. But I'm sure he's a laid back person and just go with the flow. If she had only just given him a chance to learn her way, but she was just trying to act like I'm running house. This is how it's gonna be. You're not the man. Your femininity was gone out the window. You was acting like a darn masculine man. That's not your job. And yeah, he might not have known how to lead, but he could make decisions that wasn't right. And if he didn't, he was going to be arguing with you or whatever. Hannah, deal with your insecurities. Go to therapy, get some help. Learn to be comfortable in the skin that you're in. Your body might not be like a model or whatever. Stop comparing yourself. You have a beautiful face. You're gorgeous. You're gorgeous, Hannah, but you just got to deal with your insecurities. And you can't boss a man around. A man is going to be a man. And if you don't let him be that man, he's going to be gone. That's why you probably didn't have anybody so you thought you would give this approach, but then you approached it wrong because you're worrying about their physique based on what they say they did in the past. But those things change based on a lot of different variables. So that's just it. Like I said, Stephen, he didn't even come back on when all that stuff was going on and they had these little parties. I don't even remember him coming back. Monica, you did that. You ran that man away. You just act like you were just the captain of the ship and well, I want this and I want that and you should do this. I'm just saying that's how you were acting. I didn't say you said all of that, but you did say, well, you said you're gonna get some roses, and so then when he go and try to do something cute, make a rose that's permanent in these little things, you just act like that wasn't enough. So you just kept going on and on and stuff, and then at the end you're gonna give you your money back. If this man said he lost his job for being on the show, and instead of you trying to support him and understand why he did what he did, you didn't give him a chance. That's why guys, it's hard for guys to talk to females because y'all run your doggone mouth too much for the most part. Now with Alex and Tim, he had like the female, he had like a little, I ain't gonna say that word, but he had like a little wuss. I'm gonna just say that, just bratty. And then he saw some things he didn't like when she showed her apartment and stuff. He didn't like that because Tim, like a very neat freak, and just basically saying his place was a bachelor pad and he had things organized and he'd make room. But when he saw her place and how she had clothes everywhere, she wasn't nasty. She was just, you know, it was just cluttered with clothes because she likes to shop and she likes to do whatever. And that's typical for a female. And she was getting ready for the show, so she probably just grabbed some things and then left everything everywhere. But I can tell by the way his look he looked on that he didn't like that. And then the fact that he went to sleep on his parents, yeah, that was a deal breaker for him. That was really the cause. Um, but she would have had issues anyway because, like I said, he's not a masculine man. He's just he act real soft. He tried to do certain things or whatever, and then she tried to make up, and he pulling back. That's what women do. Come on, man, learn to talk and say what you got to say, but don't make the girl jump through hoops to try to be with you because you wasn't like you had like you the prize. She was a nice looking lady. I don't know what your typical dating style is or person, but the way y'all were talking, you gave her a bracelet and saying she reminded you of your sisters. If your sister did something you didn't like, you wouldn't just diss them and push them to the side. So allow her a chance to grow and get to know you and communicate better. That's just my takeaway from that couple. But like I said, we're going to see what happened with Garrett and Taylor. And if they make it, they make it. But if they don't, I could see that coming. I wish Ashley and Tyler the best because I see them working it out. Ramsey, you did that girl wrong, but you did her right because of her mom. Her mom messed it up. That's when your whole everything just changed about you. I saw it in your face. You were gritting your teeth. I could see your jaw squinching. Like I don't know who she thinks she's talking to, because you felt like you were grown. Those discussions she should have had with her daughter, not with you. And her daughter kind of stood up for you when she was around, which was good. But she need to tell her mama, you need to stay in your place. This is between me and him. Let us work it out. If you got any concerns based on what I'm telling you, then let's discuss it. But don't discuss it with the man because we already trying to make this work. And I know she feel like probably her clock running out and she want to have babies and get married and that kind of stuff. So yeah, because she said she wanted to have babies right away, pretty much, and he was like he wanted to wait 3 to 5 years. So to me, that was a deal breaker as well. So ladies, when you consider being married and dating, take all that stuff in consideration. I know that there were red flags is overrated, but there were a lot of red flags that came up during this show with all the different couples. I knew Leo was just all about trying to get win, between Hannah and the other guy, Nick. He wanted to be the winner, so that's why he yelled at her. And so he didn't really want Brittany, but he got her. And of course, we know now that it didn't work. Hannah was very bossy, insecure about her weight and who she was. Even though she's a beautiful girl, she's gorgeous. You gotta let you be you and know that you're okay with everything about you. And then a guy will be okay with that too. But when you put those insecurities out there, he can feed on those if he wants to. If he's a dog. Unfortunately, fortunately, Nick wasn't a dog. You just messed it up listening to your friends, Hannah. Um, and like I said, with Marissa and Ramsey, her mom messed that up. Keep your folks out the business. Y'all, if you're trying to work it out, if there's something major that you're trying to consider, I get it. Marriage is major, but I'm saying if there's something major that he did or did not do, that part I can get. But to start interfering with the relationship with the prenups and all this kind of stuff, she gonna be an attorney if he's there with her and he's working and they building together. At that point, like she said, she don't have any money. When she said that, that was enough that the mama needed to stay out of it. And like I said, Stephen and Monica, Stephen, he couldn't have done enough to please her. She was always gonna want more and more and more. She thought she was somebody that she wasn't. So girl, get a life, buy your own stuff, do your own thing, and then let the guy just compliment you because he was trying. All you wanted was boners and this and that and stuff like that. So you put yourself out there with another body count. And then Alex and Tim. Alex, thank God you missed that bullet. Yeah, you got another body count too, but hey, it is what it is. That's we fall in suit of what everybody else does, and so that's how we get caught up in that foolishness. Well, I ain't gonna say we, but that's what society say. It's okay to do this, that, and the other, and the guys won't look at you bad. But you better not tell somebody that's seriously interested in you, that's treating you well about your body count. Keep that to yourself. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents for change. Like I said, I wish Ashley and Taylor the best. I'm going to watch now and see what Garrett and Taylor does. But if I would predict anything, I would say Garrett says no and Taylor says yes. I could be wrong, but I love the show. I love it. I watched another series. I don't know if it was season like 3, 4. But it was like a couple of years ago. And everything that I said throughout the show as we were watching, it happened. And my nephew was like, "Oh my God, TT, you should do commentary on this." And I thought about it, but my mouth would get me in trouble. And I'm trying to be right, on these podcasts. But I can see a lot of stuff clearly now because I've gone through a lot of bad relationships myself. But I've learned from them and I'm not bitter. I don't blame anybody in any relationship because I have to choose to be with them. And if I see things and I continue thinking it's going to change or I can change them, there lies the mistake. A lot of these individuals need therapy. That's the best thing that they could ever do to understand who they are and why they do the things they do. Then they could be a better person for somebody that really loves them and wants to treat them well. Again, my 2 cents for change. Be blessed. Have a great one.